one of the hardest things about real estate investing is getting financing, getting funds, or getting money, or utilizing other people's money and getting leverage, all these different terms, basically to be able to buy the property. Now, I, as well as every single investor, we run into these issues, but there are fantastic ways to actually scale your business with using financing or using fundings, and also some great tips that I'm going to get you or tell you to in order to get more properties in financing. Because there's a little thing that most investors kind of run into is they say you can only have 4 mortgages on your person or your social security number. I'm going to show you how to get out of that or how to make sure you can get around that. So many great ways to do financing, or so many great ways to utilize other people's money, your own money, your 401k, all that sort of stuff to get financing. See, now inside of the Master Passive Income Facebook community, it's the free Facebook community. Anybody can join up as long as you're an investor and you want to start investing and you're a nice person, we're going to have you in there. So go to masterpassiveincome.com/group. masterpassiveincome.com/group. It'll send you over to our Facebook community where everybody is inside there posting all their questions. I'm in there with other people, all the other students, and everybody's in there answering questions, helping each other out, just encouraging each other. It's a great community. Now, there was a question that was posted and was like, what are you frustrated with? Or what's going on in your investing where you're getting stuck? And I would say probably the majority of the comments were financing or around funding and getting money to buy the property. Now, I started there as well. In fact, if I was continually growing my business, I run into issues of funding and how to have enough money to buy that next property. It's not like money grows on trees, but as you continue to grow your business, you learn some key strategies to utilize funds and actually what the term is called leverage. Think of leverage as this way. Leverage is something that helps you to move something greater than yourself or greater than it. So think of it like, and if you're watching this on YouTube, I'm just going to use my hand motions, but this is masterpassiveincome.com/YouTube. You can watch all this. But think of, you have like a rock and you have something really heavy next to it that you want to lift up. Well, that rock is really, really small compared to let's say it's a boulder. You have a boulder that's 1,000 pounds. Well, you put a rock next to it that's a fraction of its size, and then you put a board or something very, very strong. Shove it underneath that big boulder and put that rock next to it. And it's a hinge point or a little fulcrum point that as you push on the other side, so you use a big plank like this, get the huge boulder, put a ball right here or like a rock right here, and you push right here. Sorry, this is not the best analogy, it's not the best visual aid for this, but as you're pushing on this end, the fulcrum right here uses it, and it's a leverage that helps it actually raise up this heavy side. So I really butchered that analogy, so I apologize for that, but it's called real estate leverage. Real estate leverage is fantastic, and utilizing your leverage is utilizing other people's money, their funds, their 401k, and everything about the money that they have, even their property. Seller financing is a quick example of what that would be like. You're utilizing other people's things and you're utilizing leverage in order to buy these properties. Now, what exactly is leverage? Like, what would leverage be and look like in real estate? I gave you the analogy of the boulder and, being able to use a plank and a fulcrum and all that sort of stuff. I'm going to give you some more understandings of real estate leverage. So first one would be a general mortgage. A mortgage that you would get on a property, just like you're buying your own personal residence. Your own personal residence, you get a mortgage broker and you get a realtor, you buy a house and you put them together, and the mortgage broker gives you a loan. Basically borrows money from the bank. You say, hey, bank, I'm going to pay you back. And over time, you pay the bank back, plus interest and all that sort of stuff. And mortgages are a fantastic way to actually buy properties and properties for investing, not just for your personal home. So getting a regular mortgage. Another great way of real estate leverage would be something like seller financing. Seller financing is somebody else owns a piece of property. You as the investor go to that seller and say, hey seller, I would like to buy your property. Let me pay you over time. You're basically going to be the bank. You're going to be the bank. I'm going to put your name on everything, all the documents, and I'm going to pay you over time. That's another great way. I've done that so many times. My students have done that so many times. The key is obviously to find those seller finance properties, which it's not that hard to do. If you stick with me, I will exactly show you how to do that. Now, another great one would be private money. this is another type of real estate leverage that you can use, is private money. Private money is where you go and you borrow from friends and family members, or you go to another business, or you talk to somebody and say, hey, I'm an investor. I invest in real estate. Would you like to invest with me? And they might say, well, show me the deal. Now, if you do it right, you're already going to have built up credibility. Now, when I quit my job, I was telling every single person that I would ever meet, I'm a real estate investor. I'm an investor and I invest in rental properties. And what would happen is people would say, oh, you do? Well, how many properties do you have? Well, I have 30 plus properties. Oh, wow. So how's it going? Well, I don't have to work a job because I have all this money coming in for passive income. The next thing they would say is, oh my goodness, well, can you help me invest or can I give you money to invest? I'm like, well, sure, I could definitely take care of that. So they would give me money and I would buy properties and I would split the profits. Just it's a whole nother ball of wax of how to do that. But it's private money. It's either getting a loan where I'm paying them back like they're the bank, or I have them be a part of the ownership of the property itself and they get dividends, or they get just like distributions, just like I would when I get the passive income payments every single month from the rents. So there's a bunch of different ways, but private money is phenomenal. And the key is to be telling everybody, every single person that you meet, whenever they ask you, what do? You are a real estate investor. I was telling that to everybody, even before I quit my job. I would say, and I was working at the county government doing IT work, I used to say, somebody asks you, hey, what do you do? I would say, oh, I work at the county government doing IT work. Well, no longer did I say that. I stopped saying that and I started saying, I am a real estate investor. I invest in rental properties. And then what was so amazing is so many people kept saying to me, well, how do you do it? And then can I give you money to invest? So that is another great way, is utilizing real estate leverage, is utilizing other people's money, private money, utilizing your friends, family members, and people that you meet, and you show them the deal. A quick tip would be, here's a big pro tip that I do with my private funding, is whenever I go to anybody, I present the offer. I don't just say, hey, give me the money and I'll give you money back. I don't say that. I said, here is the entire deal. So the pro tip is present the offer and show them how they're going to make money. Line item by line item by line item. You got to know all this information. Like, what are you going to do if there's repairs? What are you going to do if the tenant needs to get evicted? What if they stop paying? You need to know all these questions, and being an expert real estate investor or somebody who has an experience, you're going to be able to answer these questions pretty easily. But when they trust you, when they say, hey, this guy, Dustin, he knows what he's talking about. He's making money. He's doing well. He's providing for his family without a job. Let me go ahead and trust him with my money. It all comes down to trust when it comes to private money. They want to know that, number one, you're going to protect their money. They're not going to lose their money. That's the number one thing. That's the biggest fear on most investors' mind. The second thing is, will I make money? So number one was, I don't want to lose my money. But number two is, I want to make money on my money. If you can prove to them that they can trust you to do both of those, you have your private money. So that's another huge real estate leverage that you must do and must go after. Another way of real estate leverage, we have the mortgage, we have the private funding, we have the seller financing, is another great one is hard money. Now, I know a lot of people might be thinking, oh my goodness, hard money, that sounds kind of scary. Like it might be going to a mobster and borrowing money from them. And if I don't pay them back, with the juice flowing is what they say. I'm talking like mafia movies. But anyways, hey, I'm going to have Jimmy the Wolf that's going to come and break my kneecaps if I don't pay him back. That's not the case. Hard money is basically, think of an investor who is a little more aggressive in their investing and they want to turn around their money really quick. A bank wants 30-year loans because they make a lot more money over time. What a hard money lender does, it's just a normal person that starts a little company that basically utilizes their money or some other people's money, and they lend in short periods of time. Anywhere from a month to 3 months or 6 months, or at most maybe a year and a half. Usually most hard money lenders want to do 6 months. They want their money in and they want their money out. They want to make as much money as quickly as possible. Sometimes they're going to charge you points. Points are like a percentage of the total dollar amount. If you're going to borrow $100,000 with a hard money lender, they're going to want to make sure that that $100,000 is going to come back to them, and they might charge you the points of 1%. So that'd be $1,000 just to get the loan, or 3%, or 3 points. That'd be $3,000 just to get the loan on top of the interest. And the interest is going to be pretty high, like 10, 12, 13, 15, 17% at sometimes. But here's the thing. People might think, why would I get a hard money lender when I'm going to be paying so much? What we got to remember we're real estate investors. We don't pay our property taxes. We don't pay our insurance. We don't pay the interest. We don't pay the principal. We don't pay the property manager. We don't pay for repairs. We don't pay any of that. Our tenants pay for all of that. As long as we account for all the numbers, as long as we put all those numbers from the hard money lender or private seller, private financing, all that sort of stuff, if you put all that into your numbers and you still make, and here's the big pro tip, you must make $250 every single month in passive income from every property. So every property must get you $250 in passive income. If you account for all the numbers and make $250 a month in passive income, you will most likely be very well set, because $250 a month in passive income is $3,000 in 1 year. That's a huge buffer for any mistakes that you might have made on the numbers. So utilizing hard money, you're going to get a lot of money from somebody else who's going to be giving you money and give you high interest. You're going to pay a lot, or the tenants are going to be paying a lot for it, but you're going to get that property. Now, here's the great thing. If you don't have that money, then you're probably not going to get the property. You have that money because you have a hard money lender. They're going to be able to get you that property. And here's the big pro tip. If you are going to use a hard money lender, make sure you have your exit strategy already planned out before you get the hard money. So I'll give you an example. You find a property, it's $100,000. You're like, shoot, I got to get $100,000 in hard money. Well, great. You already secure. You know you have a lender, a hard money lender for $100,000 already up front. Well, before you even get to that, you are already calling up mortgage companies and saying, hey, here's the deal. I have a $100,000 property. I own it free and clear. And in fact, it's a hard money lender, so it's not a mortgage. What I need to do is I need to refinance this property, pull the cash out. I will have this bank hold this actual note, take the cash out, and I'll pay off the hard money lender. So that's a huge pro tip. Make sure you have your exit strategy out of the hard money done or figured out before. In fact, this is another big pro tip. I would have 2 exit strategies. So I'd have the hard money lender, then I'd have one refinance option, and then another refinance option. I have 2 banks ready to go. I'll go with the first one until, if that one fails, I'm ready to go with the next one. So I'm trying to save you guys hassles. Like, I've had these hassles. I've done things wrong. This is the right way to do it. So make sure you can get out of that hard money as quick as possible. Another great way of utilizing real estate leverage is with your 401k or your IRA. So you can use a 401k. It's called a solo 401k or a self-directed IRA, where instead of investing into like a mutual fund, you're giving it to somebody else and they invest some money. You can actually direct it yourself. And actually, if you check into the links in the description, I have a fantastic company. It's called Rocket Dollar. If you go to masterpassiveincome.com/Rocket Dollar, you will get $100 off if you're going to utilize them to actually utilize their 401k and solo 401k and the self-directed IRA. If you utilize them, it's going to be like a checkbook. Like, it's basically a checkbook, but your 401k is taken out of this, whatever custodian is what they're called, but basically a company, taken out of them and put it into Rocket Dollar. Rocket Dollar handles all the paperwork. It's actually really cool, really slick. So they'll handle all the paperwork. They'll handle everything. And all you do is you run it just like it's another account. You're going to have to start an account anyways, because you're having a business, you're starting a property, you're going to have an account anyways. It's the same exact thing. So go to masterpassiveincome.com/Rocket Dollar. It's my affiliate. You will actually be connected to them with me, and they'll give you $100 off just for joining through my link there. But that is another great way, because you already have that money. It's sitting there. Imagine how much money you are losing by not investing your 401k and your IRA into real estate and just putting in the stock market. Now, I will say the stock market has been doing fairly well for the past couple of years, but what happens when it doesn't? We want passive income that comes in whether we work or not, and our properties are the ones doing the work. If there is ever going to be a crash in the real estate market, which some people say, well, there might be a crash. Well, I agree. And I started investing in 2006. And in 2007, I made money. 2008, I made money. There's a crash. 2009, I made money. 2010, I made money. And I made money every single month from the day I started buying the properties, because I invest for passive income. You know, the value goes up and then it crashes. I still make passive income all the way. I still make passive income all the way through that, but then it goes back up. Now it's all the way back up to where it's before or more than what I bought it for. So here's the thing. If you invest for passive income, you're going to do really, really well. And that same thing with your 401k and your IRA. You definitely want to look at that as being the way to use leverage. Now, what I literally did, I didn't use a company like Rocket Dollar. I cashed it all out. I said, hey, 401k, you're making me pennies. I'm going to cash all that out. I took all that money out and I bought real estate with it. Now, it's a little advanced strategy because your people are going to say the mine's probably exploding. What about all the fees and the taxes and all that sort of stuff? Yeah, you're going to get those. But the amount of money I made on my real estate dwarfed how much. I made like 10 times over in 1 year or maybe 2 years the amount of money that I lost in fees. So ridiculous to think about fees because you can make so much more money as long as you're doing it right. Now, let me go over some benefits. I just went through a few different ways of utilizing leverage, but let me give you some benefits of how to do this and why you want to utilize leverage. Now, the first one is you can buy many, many more properties. Now, if you're going to buy it with cash, you have a lot of money. Then you can buy houses with cash, which is fantastic. But I didn't start with that. I literally took $17,000 as our entire life savings, my wife and I, and bought our first property. And I was broke after that, or I didn't have any savings after that, but then kept building it back up. And I started utilizing leverage. Now, you might be starting with $100,000 or $1,000. Leverage is the best way to grow and scale and build your business because you have the money, somebody else's money that's buying that property, but the tenant's paying off that mortgage. Let's say you get a mortgage on a property. The tenant is paying off that mortgage. Or if you had a hard money lender, the tenant is paying off that hard money. Whatever it is, your tenant is paying it off. That's why we're utilizing leverage, other people's things. And so what's great is you can buy properties faster, get more passive income, and grow that snowball. Think of this. You have a snowball in your hands. You're on top of a big mountain with a huge snowball, with a snowball that's inside of your hand. But there's a huge cliff down there and a bunch of snow. You roll that snowball down the hill. Over time, it goes slow just a little bit and it starts grabbing more snow. And as it goes farther and down the hill, it gets faster and gets bigger. And as it gets faster and bigger, the further it goes, it gets bigger and even faster and so on. It just keeps getting bigger and keeps getting faster. That's what passive income is like. Passive income is as you keep putting your money back into the properties. I didn't spend the money that I got. So that first property was making me, I think it was like $380, my very, very first property. I put that money back in so I could buy more properties. As I bought more properties, I got more passive income to buy more properties, to get more passive income to buy more properties. So that's leverage. You can grow and scale your business so much faster utilizing that. And another beautiful thing that I love is recycling my money over and over again. That's another huge benefit is recycling your money. That $17,000 that I started with, I've recycled that over and over and over again so many times that now I have so many 30 plus properties now. I can't even remember how many times I refinanced my properties, how many times I took money out of my own home, how many times I took my 401k money and leveraged, used private money. But I recycle that money over and over again. Now, here's a good strategy. I love this strategy. It's the BRRRR method. That's where you buy, then you rehab, then you rent out the property, then you refinance it, and then you repeat it all over again. And that's what I do is I utilize this money to buy a property, get it all rented out, fixed up and rented out, and then refinance it, pull that cash back out, and buy another property. Remember, I'm still making passive income every single month, but then I buy another property and that another property makes me money. And another huge benefit is you're able to grow and scale your business so much faster. Now you can get started faster, but you can also grow your business so much faster. I have a student, his name's Charles. I give a shout out to Charles. He's doing a fantastic job. He actually, in 6 months, has literally owns 5 units in 6 months. He already has locked down his 6th unit. And it's in, I think, 6 or almost 7 months now that he will have 6 units. Can you believe that? That is amazing. So he has 5 total properties and 6 total units. And he's only been doing it for 6 months. He is a go-getter. He's putting in offers. He's utilizing hard money and he's working hard. Now you can absolutely do that too. And this is the way to grow. That's the benefit of using real estate leverage is to grow the business very, very fast, buying more properties. Hey, if you got a good deal on a property, there's going to be somebody that's want to invest, whether it be in hard money, a private lender, or whatever it might be. Somebody's going to want to invest if it's a good deal. Now, the beautiful thing about Master Passive Income and the business model we set up, we make sure there's so much meat on the bone. That's kind of a metaphor of like, there's so much money in the deal. Like we're making $250 in passive income every single month. That's including every single expense paid for by the tenant. We still make $250. There's so much meat on the bone, or there's so much money being made that investors would love to buy our deals because of how we buy the property. Now, I do want to tell you how to protect yourself because protecting yourself is huge. How to protect yourself from this problem of over leverage, because you can get over leveraged. Now, here's a big one. You need to build the business first. So point number one is build the business first before you buy any rental properties at all. In whatever city that you're investing in, you need to build the business. That's something I love to show everybody. We make sure we have the right area. And I invest thousands of miles away. We invest in other states, which is phenomenal. Then we make sure we have property managers, realtors, contractors, wholesalers, inspectors, lawyers, all that stuff. We have everybody set up before we even buy a property. And so here's the big pro tip I'm going to give you. Your property manager is your quarterback of your team. The most important person is the property manager. If your property manager will not manage the property, don't buy it. I know it really sounds common sense, but not everybody actually does this. If a property manager will not manage the property, you absolutely must not buy it, because nobody's going to manage the property. How are you going to make money? You're not going to manage yourself, especially if you're thousands of miles away. So that's a huge pro tip. Make sure that your property manager is okay with the property. So point number one is you build the business, and the best thing you could do is get the best property manager and then build out the entire business outside of that. And another thing that you need to do, protect yourself, is to make sure you account for every single expense. Account for every single expense, and then make sure that you're making $250 or more in passive income. That's a huge deal. Make sure you account for every single expense. Remember, all it is addition and subtraction. So we add up all of our expenses, everything from if we have a mortgage, which most likely we have a mortgage, property management fees, insurance, taxes, capital expenses, vacancy factor, repairs. We add up all these up, and then we make sure our income, which is our rents, is more than this by $250. So that difference there is $250 in passive income, and our tenants are paying all of that money. That all of our expenses, they're the ones paying for that. Now, here is a fantastic one you must do. I didn't do this until well into my investing career, and I kicked myself, but I learned the lesson. Here's a big pro tip, but this is also another point in how to protect yourself. You want to overestimate your expenses. You want to underestimate your income. So we'll give you an example. If you think and you calculate all your expenses to be $800 a month, mark it up to $850 or $900. Like, just put it on paper. I'm going to mark it up 10%. So it's going to be $880 instead of $800. And then my income, I think I might be able to get $1,100 for it. Well, mark it down by 10%. So bring it down to $1,000. So it should renter for $1,100, but you mark it down to $1,000. It should have expense of $800, but you mark it to $880. If that difference there is still $250, you're going to be most likely successful and weather any storm that might come up. Because I've actually had so many times where I had something come up and I was like, oh, I didn't know this was a tax there, or there's this fee for the state or the city, or the interest rate wasn't what I expected, so I had to eat in my passive income. So that's what you want to do. Overestimate your expenses and underestimate your income. Then that difference is your passive income. If you're still making $250, you're going to be all set. Another great way to make sure you're going to protect yourself is getting fixed loans. Never use an adjustable rate mortgage. Now, obviously, a hard money loan is a high interest and you're going to have to get out of that fast, which is absolutely, you must do that. Make sure you always get fixed rate loans. Do not get adjustable rate mortgages. The reason why you get a fixed rate loan is your payment always stays the same, but your rents go up every single year. So you make more passive income every single year as long as your expenses stay the same with long-term fixed rate loans. Now, in the beginning, I told you that I wanted to share with you how to get more than 4 properties under your name. Here's a great way to do this. Number one, you can get 4 under your name. That's like most banks are okay with giving you 4 banks. If you have a partner, if you have a spouse, utilize their credit as another block of 4. So you have 4 and your spouse has 4. That's 8 properties between the two of you. Another great way on top of that is utilizing commercial loans, bundle loans. And I have videos, check in the description for other videos that I talk all about bundle loans and commercial loans and all that sort of stuff. Check in the description. I extensively talk through all of that. But you want to utilize those because those are business loans. The most likely, they're going to be business loans that are not attached to you. So you're going to be getting outside of this whole issue of having 4 loans on your person or 10 loans or however many it might be. You can get as many as you want as long as it's a commercial loan. So bundle loans, portfolio loans, those are fantastic ways to get more than 4 properties, more than 10 properties, and continually grow and scale your business. Now, another great way is utilizing your business credit. Now, I personally like utilizing my business credit. What's great about business credit, it's better than your own personal credit because you build up your business, you get business credit. Banks want to give you money as a business. They want to give you so much money. In fact, I got one credit card for my company and they gave me a $100,000 credit limit. I didn't even ask for it. They just said, here you go. Here's $100,000. Like, oh my goodness, I'm not going to spend that much. I mean, here's an advanced strategy. Just quick side note. I actually bought properties with a credit card. I actually bought properties with a credit card. I'm not going to get into it. That's an advanced strategy. If you want to learn more, check out Master Passive Income. I could get in my coaching. I definitely want to help you out. But what's great is I can actually show you how to do this. Now, if you want to get started, which I want to help you get started, and I want to show you for free how to do this, text the word rental, RENTAL to 33777. That's rental to 33777. And I will give you my free real estate investing course. It's going to show you how to find properties, how to fund the properties, even much more so than I talked about now, how to make sure you do it to quit your job, how to protect yourself, and how to make sure it runs on its own, how to run automatically. I want to get you that for free. Text the word rental to 33777, or it's in the description, masterpassiveincome.com/free course. I'll get that to you. Now, as we're talking about everything in leverage, there's one more thing I want to share with you. And this is what I want to share with you. How to build a real estate empire is actually put all these together, all these different ways together, instead of just having one way of investing or one way to get financing. This is the way to build the empire. This is how I got to 30 plus properties. This is how my students are buying property after property. So let's quickly go through them. And there's so many of them that most people think you get a mortgage broker and you get a realtor and you put them together and you buy a property. Well, there's so many more to it. And so let's quickly go through it. You can use your 401k, your IRA. You can use seller financing. You could use private financing. You can use a home equity line of credit. You can refinance your property. You can use a bundled loan. You can use a portfolio loan. You can use a signature loan. You can use hard money. Oh my goodness, there's so many. There's so many out there. Let me see. You can also do a cash out refinance, which I've done many, many times, pulling money out of my own property. Put all these together. There's so many different ways to do it. And if you do it right, you're going to be very, very successful. That's how I built my business to 30 plus properties. And what's great is I literally paid off the majority of my mortgages because I had so much passive income coming in. I was quitting my job. I was like, I need to get my cash flow up. So I paid off plenty of mortgages, like one after another, just kept knocking off these mortgages because I had so much money coming in. And now I have so much passive income because I don't have mortgages. Out of the 30 plus properties, I think I only have like 3 mortgages out of all of them. The other are free and clear. And this was all just passive income now because the mortgages are paid off. Now, this has been everything about funding your properties, and I want to get you started. Remember, text the word rental to 33777, RENTAL to 33777. You guys are fantastic. Thank you so much for being here on the Master Passive Income Show. I'll see you guys next time.